Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today, I've got an awesome interview with my friend Paul Pozo. He is a real estate investor, and you might know him from Propstream as well. He's an awesome dude that I just had a really fun time talking with. We talked about bodybuilding, we talked about Metallica, we talked about real estate investing, and of course, Propstream. So I hope that you enjoy this interview and it brings some fun to your life. Let's get it. Well, hey everyone, I am Dean Rogers. Welcome to another episode where I'm going to be interviewing my new friend, Paul Pozo. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Good to see you, man. Good to see that smile. Good to see the weights. Good to see everything about you, man.
Hey, my data is bigger than your data, man.
That's what they say, right?
got the Propstream swag. I mean, this couldn't be more fitting coming from a person from you. And it's pretty tight around the arms. I appreciate that. You know how to pick the
next level shirts. You got to make sure you're looking snug in these shirts, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, yeah, man, we've just kind of like been more newly acquainted to each other. Propstream is a tool that I've been using and got introduced through my partner. He had been using it. I'd been using kind of Property Radar in the past and List Source for putting data together. But Propstream's pretty much the new cool kid on the street, and you guys your data's pretty sexy, and the way that you present it and how easy it is to use and build a list and all the different things it does is just super useful. So naturally, people are gravitating to it a lot.
Yeah, we've packaged a product that makes it easy to have most of what you need right at your fingertips. Investors use data in their everyday business, for prospecting, for evaluating, for comping, whatever it may be. And to be able to have a tool at your fingertips to be able to do this has really been amazing for the industry. Because I remember when I first got in years ago, everything was very segmented, right? So we worked on, perfecting the platform, taking back tons of feedback from investors out there in the world, and just chipping away, making it better as we've gone along.
Yeah, as an investor in real estate, part of the difficult thing is finding like that one tool. Now, at the end of the day, there isn't just one tool that you can use in pretty much any business. There's a lot, best of breed that you kind of pull together. But Propstream does a lot, from pulling your lists together and creating a list to find motivated sellers and skip tracing that data and, keeping track of that month to month. And then also the amount of data that you guys have when you pull, I'll call it a property profile. When you go search a property, like it's almost second to none. Just the amount of data that's in there is pretty nuts.
Yeah, the details for any specific property, it's pretty robust, right? I mean, we show you what you need. You can even pull up deed images, who bought it, how many times it was bought, what's sold around it, all that fun stuff. So that you can, assess the properties that you're looking at. What are you going to put an offer out on? What do you have an opportunity to buy? The tool really helps you to look at that or look at the property and make your analysis in where you need to be, as well as building lists, right? Because let's face it, real estate investing and the wholesaling business it's a marketing business, right? So being able to put together lists, specific lists of possible motivated sellers. That's the lifeblood, right? So we're able to put that together. We're able to build these lists, pull them down, skip trace them, and right in the platform, you can do some outreach. You can market out to them with some of the postcards or pull that out and start calling directly to them. So, man, I mean, it's a very robust system. As you said before, look, no one platform is everything for everybody,
right?
But I think we do a pretty great job of capturing the most essential needs for your average investor out there.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll take a pause on Propstream. We'll circle back to that because Propstream's cool. You're doing a great job over there, and we use it too. But I kind of want to dive into you and kind of spotlight you today, man, because as we've kind of got to know each other, we've found that besides real estate, there's some things that we naturally have in common. So let's flash back to the past. Let's get in the DeLorean and go back to you in some of the earlier days. So you were a bodybuilding machine, man. Like you sent me a picture the other day and I was like, whoa,
yeah,
look at this pumped up dude.
Getting into that DeLorean, hitting that flux capacitor, going back in time. Yeah, different chapter of my life. I was a competitive bodybuilder. I was in the sports nutrition industry. Spent a good chunk of years competing, growing, competing, traveling, just living that lifestyle, which was really essential to kind of where I am now. Because as you know, as an athlete, being dedicated to any type of sport, you find discipline, you find commitment, you find structure needed for that arena, which I've carried on later into my life, right? So
100%.
my early chapters of life being a bodybuilder, man, I appreciate that chapter of my life so much because it's gotten me to where I am. So yeah, I mean, you're right. Bodybuilding was who I am. I mean, by nature, I'm still a bodybuilder. Working out and training are essential to who I am and my just general well-being. They say, once a bodybuilder, always a bodybuilder. I don't compete anymore. You won't see me in posing trunks anymore, but it's still here in the mind,
Yeah. Well, you're still a pumped up dude. You got plenty of muscles to show off and let them know that you know what you're doing in the gym. One of the things I love talking with athletes is it's just athletes are a different breed in terms of mindset and their willingness to be dedicated. Because people want stuff. I want to be a strong person. I want to be, in the NBA. I want to be, whatever it is, right? I want to be able to ride my bicycle up this mountain. But how many people are actually willing to be dedicated to put in the work day in after day? And even when they're tired, they feel like crap. I remember, back in the day when I was playing football, if you're sick, let me call my coach and tell him I'm sick. Yeah. A sick day? What?
Yeah, no excuses.
There's no sick days. I remember just like my note. I remember I could go down a bunch of stories, but I remember playing against Boise State in college and I couldn't breathe, like a legit couldn't breathe. I got a sinus infection. I was mouth breathing the whole game with a mouthpiece in, and you just get it done. There's no excuses, like you said. You got to show up.
Same thing in bodybuilding. There's no excuses, right? You have an idea of what you want, your goal. You have that fixed in your mind, and there is no stopping you. There is no stopping me. And some days are painful. Some days are hard.
I'm sure you've gotten injured before, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you work through injuries. Like you can't stop. You can't just, I'm going to take the week off. That's not possible. That is not an option, right? You got to keep going because there's a certain amount of time between then and that competition. And, who are you up against? You're up against yourself, right? Bodybuilding is a bit different than, your sport, football. You're more in a team sport. Bodybuilding, you're against really yourself in your own world, right? And who are you against? You're against yourself. Your yesterday self. Right? Like, How are you going to beat yourself? How are you going to get to that point that you've envisioned that goal? And you got to grind through it, through the tough days when you don't want to get up, you don't want to eat, you don't want to work out that day because you're just beat up. It's amazing. But through that pain and through that struggle, you start to realize how much further you can push yourself. Right? And I think, people want things, but they don't really know how much effort they need to put into something, how much pain, right? Whether it's mental or sometimes physical, you have to go through to get to your goal. A lot of people have never really felt significant struggle or pain. So when they start to feel a little bit, they're like, oh no, I can't do this, right? They back away. But going through, the competitive struggles I went through, you start to realize I'm stronger than I thought I was, right? And I've already set a goal for myself, which I can't back away from, and you keep marching forward.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. in football, you are always playing injured, right? And you're having your own mental battle. Like you're right. It is a team sport. So it's less on me to get it done. In bodybuilding, that's a whole different animal, because the buck stops with you. Like if you're not putting in the work, there's zero results.
But in your arena, right? You have to be there for your team, right? Like as in business, you got to show up. You can't say, "Oh, I got to take my break," or "I'm just going to take it down a notch." Everybody to your left and right, they're looking, towards you for the support, and they all need to be there on that same level. So, that in itself is unique to a team sport, but it's still, you got to keep pushing forward, got to keep driving yourself forward,
100%. Tell me about the diet, dude. What was your diet like?
Well, in bodybuilding, there's different phases, right? There's a phase of growing, a period of time when you're not necessarily depleting the body. So there's more food, more calories, a lot more food, right? And then there's periods of time when you're more in a restrictive phase where you're trying to, you're cutting down, you're leaning out for a show. So let's say off season, right? We're looking to grow. I mean, we'll have 5,000-6,000 calorie days, lots of protein, lots of carbs.
Yes.
And these are, 5-6 meals a day. I mean, you're a typical person would say, that's no big deal. Yeah, you do that one day, you're okay. But when you're doing this 7 days a week, it literally becomes difficult. You're just trying to get that food down mentally. You're like, oh, I got to get it down. I got to eat. I got to grow. I have to not miss a meal. You get into this mindset where it's missing anything that's part of your plan is the end of the world, right? Like you're falling so far behind in your mind if you miss a meal, if you miss a workout, if you miss your supplementation, whatever it is, right? So that's important. That's at an important phase of a lot of carbs, a lot of protein, a lot of calories. And then you go into the competitive season where, depending on how far out, maybe 12, maybe 14 weeks out from a contest, you start to, cut down on maybe your carbohydrate intake. Maybe you're increasing your protein. You're looking at your fats. These are meals with, chicken and carbs, steak and carbs, and carbs are like rice, baked potatoes. You're taking in some vegetables, of course, because you need, the fiber to help get everything going. But we're talking about 6-7 meals a day. I mean, have you ever, consistently been eating 7 meals a day? It's a lot of food, man. I mean, it's not only is it a lot of food, but it's a lot of time. You're always looking at your watch. When am I eating next? When am I eating next? Right. Yeah. So it's a job in itself just to get that food down and to get it down in time. Like, I mean, that's really, I'll be honest with you, that's really almost the hardest part of bodybuilding, really getting that food in, getting the food down, the working out. I mean, that's the fun part. You're looking forward to that workout. You already have it in your mind all day, what you're going to do, how it's going to be, how you're going to crush it, what weight you're going to what amount you're going to break for that day. Yeah. But the food, I mean, that, at least for me, that was part of the struggle on a daily basis.
So what foods did you end up loving and what foods did you end up hating?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, foods that I love, which I still do, right, are your basic ground beef and rice with hot sauce. I can eat that all day now. I could eat that almost every meal now. It's my favorite. That was one of my go-to meals back then, both for off season and contest prep. It would be maybe 8 to 10 ounces of beef with a cup and a half of rice. Splash a ton of hot sauce on that sucker, and then you chow it down. That was definitely one of my favorites. I think what started to get old for me was the fish meals, right? So as you're getting into the more calorie deficient phase of your prep for a contest, you start taking in, less fats, less calories. You still need the proteins, right? So you start switching over to some fish, right? Maybe some tilapias or some other white fish. Preparing that fish, it becomes a mission to do it every day. And I don't know, it was just, the fish just started to beat me up, over some time. The salmon's okay, but then when you're eating it on a regular basis, you're like, oh man,
you just kind of get over it.
Yeah, you start getting over it. And it's funny, once you're done with a certain prep and you get past the contest, you want to just stay so far away from your contest food. But some of them, you become kind of, you bond to them and they're just like a staple that'll always be there. So like that ground beef and rice, man, you got some of that now.
Your comfort food, yeah.
What was that?
Your comfort food.
Yeah, comfort food.
Your safe place when it comes to food.
For sure.
That's hilarious. Well, cool, man. So, yeah, I think that's one of the things, again, I just keep running into this over and over. People that went through either a phase in their life, it really almost never leaves them, right? It's ingrained in them. And they were in that place for a reason to start, right? There's a certain type of person that's driven and motivated and is willing to dedicate themselves and put in the work to get it done. And it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah. And, sometimes you don't even know that about yourself, right? You don't know that kind of person that you are yet, but for some reason you have this innate, attraction to either a sport or an activity or something that pulls you into that. And you start to kind of really connect, and I think that's same thing with business, right? Like you don't know that you're this business builder or this business person until you kind of start getting there, and all of a sudden these things, these traits that you have in you really come to the surface, right? And you really start to shine. That's what I found. I think over the years where I've found a lot of athletes or bodybuilders that later in their life they stepped into other endeavors, and man, they take the same tool set, right? They take the same abilities that got them to succeed in that to go into that next chapter. Because it's all really the same thing, right? Because, we struggle in business, struggles in business are commonplace, right? Yeah. I mean, we have great weeks, great months, and then we don't, right?
It comes with the territory.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, and that's part of the game. But I think when you have these tools, whether we're born with them or maybe we've developed them at an early age because of circumstance or maybe they're genetic, maybe your parents are athletes or whatever they may be, they start to kind of rise to the top as you start going down these different avenues of either sport or business.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I was younger playing sports, which, were foundational for me and kind of like setting up my life to who I am and kind of how I identify myself. Right. And I'm sure you're similar. I just loved playing sports. It wasn't like I'm a hardworking person. I'm really focused. I'm dedicated. And so I'm going to apply that to sports. I just love the game. Yeah. And naturally you can be talented. You can have the skills and the talent, but to really excel and take things to the next level to accomplish those goals, you got to have some of those other traits around being dedicated and showing up and being able to persevere and overcome challenges. Because there's no doubt that through sports and the experiences I had, and for you as well, the experiences you had, having to overcome and push through things when things were tough, when no one was looking, right? Like you either showed up for yourself or you didn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, no one was pushing you. Obviously you grow up and your parents are maybe encouraging you or helping you get into some sports activities. But like you, I just connected with sports at an early age. And I had this early drive to want to be the best or win or do the best I could then. And then sometimes realizing I didn't really have maybe the skill set or those abilities yet, but I knew I wanted to get better. Sports are amazing. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for, athletics and sports, either team sports or kind of an individual kind of activity like I had, because at the end of the day, they really show you what you're made of, right? They open these doors of reality that you didn't know existed, on how far you can push and what you can get to. And it's everything, and I think I've come across folks that maybe didn't have an athletic background earlier in their life, but later, maybe they're later on in life, they have realized that that's there, right? And that's allowed them to grow at that point or connect with business or, other activities or even just for fun. I mean, a lot of people, let's say somebody that's got a regular 9 to 5, you need to have an outlet, right? Whether that's, athletics or, a musical outlet or whatever it may be, you have to have an outlet so that you can drive and try to improve and try to get better at something, and also get better as a person in general.
Yeah. 100%. Because if you don't have those other things, then you're not going to end up being very well-rounded, and you're just going to be pretty boring and probably pretty unsatisfied too. Like if you just don't have a passion for something else, it makes life pretty boring, which brings up a good segue. So you and I have a passion for something else. Your passion is stronger than mine. I don't know if that's because you've just pursued it more, and I'm a little envious of it. But I love it. I love talking to you about it and just watching, just like seeing your enjoyment through it. And so the thing I'm talking about is rock and roll, heavy metal, and specifically Metallica. So tell me when you discovered that, like how you got into that and even knew that you liked it.
Right. I mean, wow. I mean, going back to middle school, perhaps, I had a buddy of mine back then that was really into this band, and he would like be listening to it as he came into the school. And he's like, "Paul, you got to check this out." And it was Metallica. It's a band, and you're kind of at a point in your life, when you're that age where you're like either blown away by something or not. And this band blew me away. It was something I really connected with at that point in my life. Music was something that I really connected with. It connected me with other like friends, played in some of my friends' bands when we were young, once we get into high school. But I started going to live shows, started seeing Metallica live, and man, it was just a joy that nothing else was giving me, like just being around a lot of people that enjoy the same kind of music, enjoy the same kind of vibe, and just the energy that this band was giving me and the audience is giving them was just something I just connected with diehard. And it's been there my whole life, right? I mean, I'm going on, I get to see them again in another few months. It'll be like the 25th time that I've seen them live. It should be more than that, but there's a couple of years there because of bodybuilding. I wasn't able to go out to these shows, but man, it's a joy, it's a passion. I'm a big believer in having other passions outside of what we do on a regular. Being in the business world now, I see often folks get so deep into business or business building, and literally that's their identity. And that's cool. And that's what you have to do at times. But is that really who you are, right? Is that really who gives you that joy, that passion? Is that what you're looking forward to in 2 months when you get to go away with your wife and have a great weekend or whatever it may be, and have these memories of lifetime from various times that you've been away with your friends to see, this band play? That's the kind of stuff I think that it fuels you. It fuels this passion of fun and just being around other people that like the stuff that you like. Yeah. So, man, I've been a diehard fan. It's funny to talk to you about this because, not many, when we're in this realm of business, do we talk about the things that we like outside and what fuels our canister of happiness. And that, for one, fills me right up to the brim, man. If you look at my feed over the last couple of months, I've been catching these guys at a couple different shows, and it's just too much fun, So I fortunately got to marry somebody that's as much of a nut into live music and bands. So I get to enjoy these times with my wife when we go and we have an amazing time. And it's just incredible, man.
That's super cool. Yeah, man, that's I kind of want to highlight what you said there, because too often, including myself, I can raise my hand and say this without question, that there have been times where I've been so heads down focused. And like you said, there is a point in time where it is needed. And there's a point in time where you got to kind of figure it out that like you need to chill out a little bit. But some people get so focused on their business and head down that they wrap their identity and their happiness tied with the success of their business. So when business is going good, they're happy and they're more excited. When business is down, their emotional state is down and they're feeling depressed. And that's kind of a slippery slope to kind of fall into. and kind of a dangerous trap. And I know with certainty, I've been there. I've been there where it's just heads down, focus on nothing but the business, doing nothing else really outside of fun. Now, if I go through pictures, I've actually kind of had to do this, go through pictures. I'm like, wow, look at this wonderful life I have. Like I'm doing all these things. I've got all these great pictures with friends and family and doing different things. And I've gone on these trips. But during those periods of time, I was still so focused on business that I kind of lost sight of that. Yeah. And recently, it happens.
It happens. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's times in my life it's been the same way. And to a certain point, you do have to be heads down and focus on what you're doing, but you can't lose track of who you are, right? I mean, there's passions and there's things that really get you going out there about who you really are. And are they things that maybe you had in your past that you've for some reason thought you had to get away from? I mean, who would have thought now at 41 years old, I'd be talking about the same passion that I had when I was, 12, 13 years, right. 13 years old. But it's there. And that's a passion that's always been there. I mean, I mentioned before, when I was bodybuilding, I was so heads down. There was things I just didn't do, like going to some concerts because I had to stay on diet. I had to get my workouts in. And speaking of identity, during that period of time, that was my identity. Hey, there's Big Paul, right? You become this thing, right? And you might be one-dimensional at that one point, but man, you got to check yourself as you go along and see, is this only what I am? Am I only Big Paul? Am I only this business builder? Am I only this music fan? No, we're a combination of lots of things. That's what's amazing about being a human being, right? We have the ability to enjoy lots of things. And we live in the US, which is the best place in the world, right? And we have the ability to have so much available to us. We need to, remember, we're not just one-sided. We're not just one-dimensional. There's a lot of aspects of life that make us who we are.
Yeah, so I think that's a real good point of self-reflection, and also just to kind of put that on notice for people that are maybe in that point in time right now, right? And kind of let them know that that's okay, but don't go down to the depths of the dark barrel that you might be putting yourself into, and just be self-aware, self-reflect on it. And you'll find too, like if you're doing things that really fill, as my wife would say, as we talk to our kids, things that fill up your bucket. What are things that fill your bucket up? If you're doing those kind of passion things on the side, regardless of what the cost may be, a lot of these things might be very low cost if you're in a state of budget consciousness. Right. And you're going to find that you're going to be a happier person. That's going to translate into your business. You're going to actually get better results as a result of being more well-rounded.
Right. And it gives you a focus, right? You may want to do something on this side of your plate that you may not be able to right then and there. But if you're focusing on this side over here, which is maybe your business or whatever endeavor you're in, it might be able to get you there quicker, right? I know, you look back to when you're young and there's so many things you couldn't do, as a teenager. You just didn't have the abilities. Maybe you didn't have the money. You just didn't have the ability to get up and go cross country at any given moment. But you remember that stuff, and you remember wanting to be able to have that freedom or the desire to just do these things. So that fuels your energy in business, right? Why are we, grinding? Why do we work? Why do we build what we build? Because we want to do what we want to do in life, right? And for me, it's like, I want to do the happy things for me. I don't build business. I don't work on business to say I'm the best business person in the world. I do this so that it can fuel the happy times. It can fuel the vacation times with my family. It can fuel us going away for a month. Last summer, my family and I, we went away. It was just about a month. Longest vacation we ever took. We went out to Colorado. We were lost in the mountains, in the woods. And, the only reason that's happened is because I was able to focus in business. I was able to grow that to a certain point that I could take off for an entire month.
That's awesome. Yeah. So kind of going back to my story of how I kind of got turned on to Metallica is my dad was always, and still is to this day, exploratory and curious on all types of music. and he does happen to have really good taste. So, we were listening to Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and Rage Against the Machines and Nirvana and Metallica, all those kind of things. And I remember always having dance parties in the house and the living room, stuff like that. And so in junior high, he had bought a DVD, two-disc DVD of the live concert of Metallica S&M.
Right. I was there.
Oh, were you really?
I was there, Madison Square Garden. Yes.
That's crazy. So he had that DVD at home, and I remember just watching it over and over and over and over again. And then back in the day, however, which way I got a copy of it, I burnt it onto a CD, and that's all I would listen to, just over and over. And I'm still that way today, to where I like all genres and I like just good sounding music. But if I'm going to listen to music, it's going to be Metallica or Kings of Leon. Like, that's all I listen to. So Metallica has always been a part of my life since that time. And it was also a part of my routine every time I would play a sport. So in high school, pregame before a football game, I'd be listening to S&M CD, Call of Cthulhu, which actually has no words in it at all, and is like a 10, 12-minute song, that was my happy place, dude. I would get like in a trance and just ready to go to battle, man. So
yeah, I mean, much like you, I was the same way. Every training session, I mean, that's what you have in your head. It's been the soundtrack of my life, right? I mean, these songs, you have a connection to them for whatever reason, whether it's the lyrics or the beat or just what it gets you through. So you start connecting to them, in your successes, and there's a deep emotional connection to this music, whether it's Metallica or any band or any type of music, right? I mean, I'm a fan of all types of music, from heavy metal to blues to jazz to even dance music. There was a phase that really dance music was the thing for us living in New York. We're going to clubs.
Were you a party boy at one point?
We'll say at one little chapter of my life I was, yes. But whatever it is that really just gets you connected emotionally, and then you can, whenever you hear these songs, you remember, you connect back to that good point or that good time. Or when you're training, you have that on, you're focused. It's pushing you through. I mean, Metallica's always been there. Almost every workout for the last 25 years, it's on, right, one or multiple songs. Excuse my dog over here trying to bust into our interview.
My kids will be in here in a second. Don't worry.
All those songs just have been there, just pushing me through, man. So just like you, I mean, I've been there using Metallica as a soundtrack to get me through things.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you obviously got some cool toys behind you. You've got quite the collection going. You've shared some stuff with me. You want to bring one of those bad boys up and show what you're working with?
Yeah. Let's pick up this little one. See, some people buy cars, some people buy watches, some people collect other stuff. I've become a guitar collector, guitar player, because it's, not only are they cool, I mean, this thing is pretty, darn cool, but it's an outlet. There's the ability to come in here, put my phone down for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and literally just play. And I'm here in my own world just playing, and I'm disconnected. I'm recharging my soul by just letting loose. And also it's been wonderful to continue to learn, continue to get better at playing, because it's another task, it's another activity that I can work on, right? And really, maybe at this point in my life, taking learning music to another level much more than I did when I was a younger kid. It's incredible, right? To learn something new. That's not necessarily, business, right? Because there's been so many years that, you're reading books, you're connecting, you're learning all sorts of aspects of business building, business development, self-improvement. But when you're learning something like music, it's a whole nother world, right? You have the journey of learning what this whole neck means, what the notes mean, but also then putting it together and really just being able to create and have fun. And again, most important to me is really taking this thing and putting it down for a period of time, right? Because we're so connected to phones
For sure.
and just this and always looking at our emails and the next Slack message and what's coming. I tell you, man, I put my phone down and pick up a guitar, plug in, and it's my escape to somewhere fun, you know? So yeah, this is one of the new ones. You know, it's a bit extreme. It's a V, but you know, I like heavy metal and I like extreme guitars. But you know, I do like some of the classical shapes. Let me show you this next one. More of a single cut, they call this, more of a Les Paul type guitar. You know, whatever it is, man. You know, body style or shape, it's just something that I admire. I admire people that are really great at music, way better than I am. I admire their abilities to improve and get better in music, much like sports or business. So that really just it fills my energy cup, man. I mean, I love it. And it takes me away from the grind or, you know, either the frustration or struggle or just the repetitiveness of the everyday grind, you know?
Yeah. So are you like a musically inclined person? Did you just like gravitate to it easily, or was it just one of those things you had to just put in the time to figure it out?
Yeah.
And kind of overcome what you maybe weren't naturally good at?
I wish I could tell you I was this musical genius and I've picked up the guitars and I'm shredding like you can't believe. But no, it's a lot of work, a lot of work. I played for a long time up until about college time. I played, didn't take it as serious then. I didn't really put in the effort. I don't think I had the skill set yet in knowing how much work you need to put into something to get good at. But later in life, when I got back to really playing guitar, like with this, you know, skill set from bodybuilding and from building business, and you know, you realize, okay, if I want to get good at something, I have to put in the work. So yeah, you have to practice. You know, I mean, I take lessons. I have a instructor who teaches me music theory. It's like learning another language. It's frustrating as all heck sometimes because you're like, oh my goodness, you know, but just like sports, you got to do the reps. You got to do it over and over again. And the stuff starts to sink in. You start getting better. You start improving. And every little improvement for myself, it's rewarding. You're like, oh, wow, I can do this. I can play that. You know, it's somewhere. The beautiful part about music and guitar playing is you can always continue to learn, right? It's not like sports, like football, or definitely like bodybuilding. It's not. It's something that you can do until you're done on this planet. You know, we can't play football or squat 500 pounds until we're 80 years old, right? But you know, hopefully I can continue to play until my fingers keep moving and I can continue to grow. Learning music theory, learning how to play stuff, learning or just creating your own stuff is endless, right? You'll always be learning new little parts of music and creating new music. And as long as you're having fun with it, man, that's really what it's all about, having fun. As long as you're having fun with it, it's really just amazing.
100%. Yeah. We bought our two boys this Christmas guitars. We bought them electric guitars. We don't have the amp set up or anything yet, but you know, Christmas Day, they got them on, they got the strap on. They got the pick going. They're kind of like figuring it out.
Yeah.
And so the wife had said that she's seen some other families that have, you know, musically gifted kids and stuff like that, not because they themselves were artistic or gifted, just because they had them laying around.
Right.
And if you have them laying around like toys, they're going to be curious. They're going to kind of check it out. And so, I mean, just a good example, kind of seeing that kind of start to build on itself a little bit. Just yesterday, you know, my middle child and youngest son, you know, he's like, yeah, Dad, I want to put this on. So put it on him. And he's like, oh, well, I need the thing, which was the pick. So I got him the pick. And then he was just like kind of playing it a little bit. And, you know, it was cool. It's cool. They're not anywhere to like playing anything yet. And We don't have them in any lessons yet, but just having it around will kind of
having that exposure, right? Having that exposure to anything allows a young child to just start sucking it up. I mean, I look back now and I'm like, wow, I wish my parents would have gotten me into music when I was young. Because it certainly is a lot easier. It's like learning English, right? You learn to speak and it's normal. I speak Spanish, right? And I'm fluent because my family, we grew up speaking Spanish and it's just easy.
That's
it's
awesome. Yeah.
Easy language. But like music, it's another language. Oh man, I mean, trying to go back in there and you're learning theory and you're learning how all these notes are connected, and it's like, wow, it's difficult. If you learn that at a young age, it's not as difficult as it is when you're an old man like me now.
100%. So yeah, we're excited the idea. So I'll cruise around in the car or the golf cart blasting Metallica, hoping they like it. My oldest son gets into it. He'll throw up the rock and roll, dude. And one of his poses right now for doing like a dance party around the house, he'll end with one of these up there. He'll cross up some rock and roll.
Something
stuff.
Right over there, Dean.
Yeah. So he gets into it. He has long hair too, so he can really headbang right now.
I did once at one point in my life, but now not so much.
Were you a headbanger too?
Oh, of course, man. I'm still a headbanger till the day I'm done, man.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, cool, man. So let's transition into talking about real estate. So bodybuilding for years, probably, right?
Yeah, about 10 years of my life, maybe a little bit longer. You get to the point where you're in that world. I kind of reached all my realistic goals in that space. And I started looking at what's next, and building some sort of business. I've always kind of done my own thing. I've always been a hustler, a grinder. I've figured out my own path. I went to college, but dropped out quickly because I realized that wasn't the thing for me. I needed to do my own thing. So at that point, I created a computer consulting business. So being my own self, my own boss, was just always been in me. And when I got out of the bodybuilding world, I was really kind of looking for that next step, right? And somehow real estate investing online smacks me in the face like things do, the ads or the webinars or whatever it was. And I heard about this thing called wholesaling. And I actually have a cousin that I knew was rehabbing homes. So I figured, let me reach out to my cousin Marco and see, maybe enlighten me here. What's up, man? What is this? And he did. He filled me in a little bit. And I said to myself, I think I can do this, right? So that was the beginning of that journey. Started getting out there, trying to figure out what wholesaling was, how to even connect with a homeowner. How do you buy this house? At the time, I didn't have a ton of money. So you go through all the fears that a lot of wholesalers have in the beginning. How do I do this without money? How do I, all of that sort of stuff. But you start putting one foot in front of the next and you start learning the game, start connecting with people in your community. At the time, I was living in Florida. So there was a good RIA group down there that I connected with, and you start putting the pieces together. And then funny enough, I get a list of pre-foreclosure homes that were going to auction, I think within a month or two. And my cousin's like, go knock on doors. Since I didn't know any better, I said, okay, so I go out there, I start knocking on doors, and lo and behold, after I think it was about 2-3 weeks, I actually found somebody that was in, he was in distress. His whole life was in distress, actually. And he was about to lose the house and he had no other plan. And here I was with my, half-assed pitch, but, we connected and we agreed on a buy price. And that was my first deal. I locked that deal down and it all became a reality. You prove this concept of what you hear. Cause let's face it, you see things online and you're like, is this real? Are people really doing this?
Yeah.
But when you get to the point that you actually do a deal and it becomes a reality, that's it. Game on, right? And that's
one of the biggest milestones right there, is just getting that first deal done and proving to yourself that you can do it, proving that it's a real thing. I remember getting that first check for $6,000 and I was just like, wow, this is awesome. And
I remember I was going through some pictures recently and there's a picture of me with that check and I was just got the biggest smile on my face, man, because it's like, I had to prove it to myself, right? I needed to prove that I could do this, right? And I knew I can think back and remember thinking to myself, no matter what, I'm going to figure this out. No matter what, I'm going to do this, right? And that was it. And I tell you what, knocking on doors in Florida on a hot summer day, when you're sweating, and at the time I was a bit bigger, and I'm knocking on doors, and people are a little suspect of me as I'm walking up to these doors, maybe thinking I'm like a collector or something. It was nerve-wracking.
You probably look like a headhunter, dude.
So you kind of prove to yourself that even the most scary, most difficult, most daunting things in life, you believe in yourself and you go after it, right? And that was the beginning, right? I mean, it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows since that first deal. Yeah. It's a roller coaster, as we all know, in this game when you're trying to get it together. But I do remember getting that first deal and saying, you know what? I'm going to have about 10 of these a week, right?
Yeah.
I think I might have gone like months before I got my next deal, but it became a reality, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to build my own business. I liked where this was going. It did help having a family member kind of in that space. So I had a little bit of comfort knowing that, someone I knew and trusted was doing something similar. But man, I mean, that's how it all began. And it just kind of has evolved from there.
Yeah, that's the beginning roots for everybody is always a real special place because you're like overwhelmed with fear and the unknown. You don't know what you're supposed to even really do next. You might have studied it. Someone might have told you, but you really don't know what it feels like to go through each and every step to get that deal done. So to be able to get past the fear of calling the seller and what to say. Oh, I don't want to screw this up. Like, I'm not going to make any money if I say the wrong thing. Yeah. And if I say this certain thing that's in the script that I got from somebody, how are they going to react? Like there's so many little micro fears and insecurities that you have leading into it, that as you start to break down and push through each and every one of those, you really build a lot of momentum and believe in yourself. That's why I think it's so monumental to get that first deal done. You finally believe in yourself, like, I can do this. And it's not in doing a deal, an investment deal, like real estate, it's different than a job. You go in, there's insecurities and there's fears about interviewing and getting hired and stuff like that. But once you're kind of in, like, you're getting a paycheck, but this is different where it's either you or it's all up to you, right? It's all up to you to have the conversations and put the deal together. And so having to overcome those barriers and get through it is such a big moment,
Yeah, fear is a big thing, man. I mean, fear keeps a lot of people from really being the best person that they can be or really achieving the things they want in life. Fear, I say fear is fake sometimes because it's really just in your head, right? You're creating this imaginary monster of no or just rejection or, you have to bust through that. I think, with my life, my upbringing, my previous endeavors, some of that helped me kind of bust through that fear and have the confidence that I needed to just keep charging forward into it. But man, I mean, once you bust through that fear, the other side of fear is so rewarding, right? It is. There's always more fear, right? Because there's always 100%. Something.
There's always something more.
I have fears now that I challenge and I tackle, but that's what keeps life exciting, right? Like busting through that and showing and proving yourself, right? Not your Instagram followers, not your social media people, but yourself and maybe your family, showing them that you can bust through there and do the things that you want to do.
Yeah, 100%. And that's right. Like the more that you put yourself in those uncomfortable positions and prove to yourself that you can overcome them, and also gaining the skill sets around how to navigate those situations and push through, is what ultimately allows you to kind of just really rocket forward from there, Right. So you get smacked around with ads and different real estate stuff. You get your first deal done. So now you're living in Florida doing this?
Living in Florida doing that. So it starts becoming the thing I'm doing every day, right? Working on deals, calling deals, cold
Yeah.
calling, doing the whole nine. But right around the same time, I had a good friend of mine out here in California, owner of Propstream. I'd known him for a long while, but really never connected and discussed his business just because conversation never led itself to there. But once I caught up with him over the phone one day, told him what I was up to down in Florida. He's like, "Oh man, you gotta check out check out our business, our company, what we have. I'll send it over to you." And that was right about the time when some major improvements were about to go into Propstream, and I kind of came on and started giving some advice as I was growing as a investor myself and really being out there in the real world, using tools, using this. I mean, like any new investor, use everything that you can find. Somebody tells you about this, you're checking that out, you're checking all this. So I had a good sense, especially I had a technology background, so software and tools were just very natural for me to use and check out. Started kind of providing them some feedback on what I thought, and really kind of fell into more of an advisory kind of role for Propstream as the time went on. And then ultimately I ended up moving out west of California and really became a major part of the team. Again, kind of in an advisory role, really just showing, as an investor, as an active investor in our community, what do other people use? What are the tools that are out there? How do you use it? And that was really the magic that I brought to my relationship and time with the company. And over the last several years, it's been an amazing ride to watch Propstream go from a software that not many used or knew about to really being one of the premier names in the space, being one of the go-to tools in the industry. It's been an amazing ride to the point where the company just a couple months ago got acquired by Stewart Title, and being a part of that has been one of the highlights of my life. Being a part of this team that's driven this company, helped grow it to a point where this billion-dollar company would want to acquire it. It's been an amazing ride. It's been a highlight. But the incredible part about that is, the team stays on. We all continue to drive this product forward, continue to develop it, continue to grow it. So the future is bright for what we're doing. We're really excited about what the next couple of years will bring for Propstream and all of us involved. And man, it's all because of real estate, over these last years, that it all kind of tied in together. And more, I guess, overall of that really just, my drive and my push forward and wanting to just kind of improve and open doors for myself have led me to this point of being with this wonderful team and also being able to continue to do deals. I've been running a virtual wholesale business now. I don't know, it's been about 3 years now that I've been doing this, maybe a little bit longer, where out of necessity from moving from Florida to California, you have a whole bunch of leads in your system. And, what are you going to do? Just throw them away? No, you continue to work them. So you start working your phone game, you start building a team, you start building the right team, figuring out how to hire, how to train, you develop that skill set, right? That's a whole different thing in itself.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's where I've been, figuring out how to grow that team and perfect our virtual model, and doing deals in various states across the country. I'm not the type of company, we're not doing 100 deals a month, but we do enough deals to keep our machine going, really stay active in the industry. In this last year or so, we've started to make a little bit of a pivot into commercial, really taking a look at different types of assets out there to invest in, whether it's self-storage or apartments or RV parks, whatever it may be, just looking at what that next evolution is going to be. That's kind of where I'm at right now. It's into this next evolution of what I'm doing with my business. But man, real estate's been amazing, right? Because it's really allowed me to use my skill set of life and use it in business and really grow this, this business, my business, and really apply, what I have to the team, to the Propstream team. It's been amazing, man. I tell you what, I was not, nobody was going to hire me. I'm not a 9-to-5er, right? So I had to find that business, that industry I needed to be in that could allow me to be me in the way that I am. And fortunately, I found real estate. So, I mean, I will always be grateful for finding it. I'm a big advocate to anybody that's working 9-to-5 and have, that desire for more, right? I mean, 9-to-5s, I mean, yeah, there's some high earning salaries out there and jobs. But 9-to-5, it's restrictive to a certain degree, right? And if there are things in life that you want to achieve, real estate's the gateway to that. Real estate opens you up to self-improvement. It opens you up to becoming a better person. There's a time where you really get into books, you start learning, you start reading, you start improving who you are, right? And I owe this all to real estate.
Yeah, 100%. So as you've kind of evolved and grown over the past couple of years, what's your role look like within the Propstream world, and what are you doing there right now?
Right. So it continues to be an advisory role, continues to bring real life feedback on what a real investor is doing out there. What are the investor needs? I work with various partners, affiliate partners, bring them on board onto our team, identify who's who out there in our space, connect with them, bring them into our world. As we go into the future, there's going to be much more involvement with brokers and agents. And, I work with identifying, the key players that we want to work with. And that's mainly the capacity I'm in right now for the company.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, just over the past couple of years, you've probably seen an insane amount of growth. I know I've been in the business now eight years. And as I've been moving forward and using different tools and doing all those different things, Propstream is really, really blasted on the radar the past couple of years, especially. And it seems like everybody that's getting started or is experienced is now pretty much using it. Because again, the amount of information that it has on there in terms of just searching for a property and finding everything that you could possibly want to find, it has it. In the past, I've been using Chicago Title to go pull a property profile and find out all the data and the previous transaction history and what loans might be on there, different things. And then over time, I would sometimes use Property Radar if I wanted to find out a little bit more detailed information about maybe a mortgage that was in default or something like that. Propstream has all that and more, like a lot more.
Really easy. It's all there, to the point where newer investors getting in the last couple of years are maybe spoiled at how easy it is, right? Because even when I got in, like you say, all the information was all over the place, right? And you're trying to find out from this person and that person, how do I get this? How do I get that file? How do I get that list? How do I comp? It used to be much more difficult, right? And that's the beauty of what we have in Propstream. Most of the information you need is right there in your fingertips, and it makes it to be a Swiss Army knife for the investor. Whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're a rehabber, I mean, we have the property information that you need to make the intelligent decision whether you're buying or selling.
Right. Absolutely. And then again, from there, just beyond the information, like actually building out your list. You guys have made that redonkulously easy, because you go to some of these other websites and just to build out the list, you almost kind of have to learn the language or go to the secret little hiding place to find this checkbox.
YouTube video on the tips on how to pull lists.
Yeah, man.
In the spreadsheet to do this and do that. I've been there. I know. I've done it. And it's super simple and super easy to pull data, which is amazing, right? I mean, maybe we've made it too easy, right? But that was part of the struggle back in the day. But yeah, it's going in there and really dialing up, filter set of what kind of properties you're looking for, however big you need a list. And to be able to pull it and literally within minutes, skip trace and get a phone number and reach out and talk to an owner within minutes. I mean, that's really incredible, because look, at the end of the day, our business comes down to making content contact with the owner. At the end of the day, whatever software you're using, whatever bells and whistles, what matters is getting information, being able to get a phone number or a mailing address, and really just being able to get in contact with the homeowner as soon as possible. That is it. That is the name of the game. Obviously beyond that, it's your negotiation skills and how you handle the ability to get a deal, right? But making contact with that homeowner, letting them know what you do, what is it that your business does? You're not an agent, you're not retail, what is the value of your business? What do you bring? The ability to buy quick and buy with speed. I mean, that's what most of us do, right? So really being able to go into our platform, dial that up as soon as you need it, making those calls, and then having the ability to look up that property right there in Propstream that you're talking to Mr. Jones on the phone, 123 Main Street, pull it up, identify what you need, and then be able to put out an offer and hopefully lock that contract up.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the cool things is not only is it extremely easy to use on your computer, laptop, desktop, whatever you're using, but is just as easy to use on the app. That's where a lot of people, kind of fail as, oh, it works great when I'm at home, but I'm out in the field, driving properties, knocking on doors, going on appointments, running around, picking up my kids, whatever it might be, right? These are real life kind of situations. If I got a hot lead that comes in, or I just saw a property on the side of the road and I need to pull up the address and kind of see what's going on, Propstream's app, super dialed in, very easy to use. It's got all the information that you would find online right there too, which is super powerful. So I've really thought that they really knocked it out of the park on the app too.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of data right there in that little screen. It's really amazing. I mean, let's face it, not every investor has a team, right? Not every investor has a team of 5, 10 people working behind the scenes, doing this, doing that, giving you the right information through email. A lot of investors are, lone warriors, right? They're out there, maybe 1 or 2 people, them and their wife or them and their partner working deals. So they have to be able to pull out their phone if they're on their way somewhere, maybe to look or comp a property. You have to look at what's going on. Maybe a lead just came in, you pull over, you take a look where it is. I mean, that was really important. Obviously, now we live and die by these phones, right? And we need to be able to get the information that we need and not just depend on hitting back to the office or getting back to the home to have to pull it up. So yeah, the app has come in really handy. We're excited also for the future of our app and our app development. I really got to give it up to the back end development of our team. I mean, those guys are working around the clock to make sure that our platform is as steady and reliable and consistent and up, as well as working on development, any new things or new files or new data that we're adding in there. I mean, they're really the backbone of what keeps this thing up and running. I mean, I don't think people realize the type of infrastructure that you need on the back end to run this much data. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Software is hard, man.
The server space, the server infrastructure, the security, and everything that goes in keeping that up and running. I mean, hands to them, because those are the guys behind the scenes that really keep that going.
Yeah, all the different data points that you guys are pulling in is and
here's this on data, right? The data points, it'd be easier if all the data was consistently the same nationwide, right? Like if, from California to Maine to Florida, it was all the same, but it's not. I mean, literally every county across the country does things differently. Things are entered differently. They're the named differently. So you can just imagine what the back end of that looks like to organize all that in a way that it's updated and displayed in a way that's as easy as everyone sees on Propstream. Just pull out your phone and there it is.
Yeah, it gives me anxiety to think about how much effort would go into keeping that dialed in, and then they're going to change what system they're using to provide the data, and just all the agreements, arrangements, and data conversion and all that stuff is just pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes your casual user or just your regular user that doesn't really really think of that as much. They don't realize all of what goes on behind the scenes. They're like, it's just some data, splash it up. There's a lot to get that data all in a certain way that makes sense, right? But yeah, I mean, data is king, right? I mean, data is what drives the universe these days, and the more of it, the more infrastructure that you need. So the infrastructure behind what we have is really what keeps everything going.
Yeah, 100%. Well, cool, man. It's always fun to talk to you. We've got a lot of stuff we could talk about in depth and just keep going on. So I'll have to have you on again. And like I've talked to you about, we're going to get your team on to get in and like dive into building out a list, dive into skip tracing, dive into all the different things that Propstream does, a phenomenal job at. So just for those that are watching, like if they want to get into Propstream and test it out, just know that you can get a trial. If you go through the link that I'll throw up on the screen, you can go to trial.propstreampro.com/Dean. So trial.propstreampro.com/Dean. You can get a free 7-day trial, check it out, see how you like it. Obviously you could reach out to myself or Paul if you have like really specific questions or something like that. But yeah, check it out. We use it. We've been using it for now years, and it's an instrumental part of our business, as we're looking at getting a property under contract. Here's a perfect example, right? Yesterday, we get a property under contract, and as my acquisitions manager is at the appointment, he's there talking to them. So he doesn't want to be rude, pulling stuff up on his phone. So he just texts us real quick. Hey, can you send me the APN number and the, legal names on title? What do? We pull up Propstream, right? Pull up Propstream. My partner sends a screenshot of that to him. And then I ended up typing it out just in case it was easier for him. So boom, boom,
right
boom.
Up that contract there, didn't he?
Yep. He wrote it handwritten right there, right on the spot on the kitchen table. And what do you know? We got it signed. Got it back, sent it out this morning, got it sold, $15,000 assignment fee. So, nice, solid kind of base hit deal for us. And,
high five on that one, brother.
Hey, yes, sir. So, and Propstream was a real life example involved in that deal that had we not had it, we're scrambling around like, where do we get this information? Right. So it just makes life that much easier. And again, my partner sent a screenshot from his phone. He wasn't at his computer. He's out and about driving around. Our acquisitions manager, not super convenient for him to do it right there and kind of, be face-to-face with the person. So just send us a quick message, right, and boom, now he's got it. So, yeah. So awesome. Well, cool, man. Love having you on. Love talking to you. And, how can people get a hold of you?
Man, you can just search for me on the socials, search for Pozo. You can find me through paulopozo@gmail.com. And like I said, the socials, reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. I mean, I'm an open book. I love talking to people, love connecting with folks. If you have any questions about the platform, if you have any questions about working out, I mean, I talk to business leaders about working out and keeping in shape and staying at prime time all the time. So that's definitely something of a joy to discuss. And of course, music. I mean, anybody else out there that's a metalhead just like us, reach out to me and let's share our common love for the music. And man, Dean, hopefully I see you in Vegas at the next Metallica show, and I'll see you in the pit, my brother.
Heck yeah, let's do it. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being on. We'll throw up all your social stuff on the screen so people can get a hold of you and follow you. Stay in touch with Paul. He's on the cutting edge of what's going on at Propstream. He's a real life investor and just a cool dude. So again, thanks for spending time with us today, man. And until next time, peace.
Thanks. Later.